Welcome, history fanatics, to Mrs. Heron's video playlist, where you will get the best of the best in social studies.
Okay, comments. We're still in Unit 5 on Southwest Asia and North Africa. The essential question is, how did civilizations develop in Southwest Asia and North Africa? And our standards are 7.4.4 and 7.5.2. Today, I want you to focus on how did Mesopotamia change the world, really looking at how Mesopotamia impacted other cultures today.
If a man destroy the eye of another man, they shall destroy his eye. If one break a man's bone, they shall break his bone. If one destroy the eye of a freeman, or break the bone of a freeman, he shall pay 1 manra of silver. If one destroy the eye of a man's slave, or break a bone of a man's slave, he shall pay 1/2 his price.
Remember this guy from the Babylonian Empire? You got it, King Hammurabi is back for round 2. And this time he's laying down the law. 282 laws to be exact, and he covered everything from laws about murder to divorce and common theft. His laws even cover more modern topics like adopting children, unemployment, animal control, and medical practices. For the first time in history, laws were being written down with an attempt to make them fair. These laws are appropriately named Hammurabi's Code.
What's a code, bro?
A code is any organized list that gives information. Think of a zip code. It's an organized list of numbers that tell the location of something. Hammurabi's Code was a list of rules that told people in Babylon how to deal with conflicts, though some of these seemed harsh, like the one at the beginning of the video. Legend says that Hammurabi got these laws from Shamash, the god of justice. Do you remember the show Tom and Jerry? Tom was constantly tormenting Jerry, and Jerry would get revenge on Tom. This represents the justice system that Hammurabi was trying to create, one based on an eye for an eye. Unfortunately, his code did not always apply equally to all people. For instance, slaves who broke the same rules as slave owners often faced harsher punishments. The higher status a person was on the social ladder, the less severe their sentences were. Some punishments were extreme, considering the crime. For instance, if a surgeon accidentally lost a patient during an operation, their hands would be cut off. The most important thing to remember about Hammurabi's laws is that they were the first laws written down for the entire civilization to see and follow, making it clear to everyone that there were consequences for breaking the rules. Think back to the first lesson, where writing was the beginning of history. Most of human existence was without written language, making this development a huge leap for mankind. At around 3500 BC, our ancient Mesopotamian ancestors first began to develop writing. This started all the way back with the people of Sumer, and writing blossomed as the centuries passed. You should recall that only scribes could read or write in Mesopotamia, making them a valued member of Sumerian society. Their jobs ranged from small things like recording taxes and trade agreements to those of great importance, like gifts that they would give to their gods, as well as marriages and recording deaths. There were even specialized scribes for certain jobs, like there were military and government scribes, both of which had to make mathematical calculations for supplies. We still utilize some of their same counting devices to this day. This is where we get 60 minutes and 60 seconds from, as the Mesopotamian number system ranged from 1 to 60. Think for a moment about what they were writing on. I've said before that they used clay tablets, but where exactly does this clay come from? In Mesopotamia, unlimited supplies of clay came from the wet grounds of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The spring floods brought this rich soil in large quantities, allowing scribes to mold the clay into rectangular tablets. Sharpened reeds were used as a stylus to write in the clay, and the hot sun baked them into a permanent written record. The other benefit of the clay was that it could be molded into any shape or size, depending on its purpose. Some scribes even made envelopes from the wet clay to place some letters inside of. Some scribes left records of their daily life, just like you or I would leave in a diary. Here's an example of one scribe's personal notes. It took historians many years to decipher these clay tablets, but in the early 1800s they finally broke the cuneiform code. Look at this diagram and pause the video if you need to see how the language developed over time. Cuneiform is the Mesopotamian language that began as symbols and changed as scribes refined the symbols into a written language, made up of wedges and lines. Eventually, cuneiform was used globally and became the beginning of a more universal type of language. To review, we discussed Hammurabi's code, broken up into an eye for an eye and unequal laws, the beginning of writing, which was scribes, clay tablets, and the development of writing, and symbols to words. Your definitions were code and cuneiform. Join me next time for Mediterranean Civilizations.